Attention, please. We're going to go ahead and get started because it's a minute or two after 6 o'clock. Because we have more than 2 members of the City Commission present in the room, we have to officially call this together as a work session just for formality's sake. And so if I could ask Ms. Jessa to call the roll for attendance, please.
Commissioner Witt, Commissioner Hargis, Commissioner Thomas, Commissioner Pruitt, Mayor Staten.
Here. So we are open as a work session. Thank you all so much for coming out. This is the 3rd year that we have had a report out, a public report out for the Inner City Improvement Plan. This is the 1st year that we're actually live streaming it. And so on Facebook right now, you are able to watch it at home. It's also going to be stored on the City of Henderson, Kentucky Facebook page. And so if you want to refer back to that at any time, or if you have anybody that you know that you think might want to watch it later, you are more than welcome to tell them about it. They should be able to go to that Facebook page and pull up the meeting and watch it in its entirety. We're going to try to have you out of here within an hour to an hour and a half. It is going to be about the time limit for the meeting. If you need to go, I certainly understand if you have to leave to attend to certain business. I'm going to try to do this pretty quickly. Is there a clicker, Travis? Right here. Thank you. Let me see if it goes forward and back. It does. Okay. So I'm going to talk about a little bit about the program in case you're unfamiliar with the program. So 3 years ago, a little over 3 years ago, the City Commission designed a program called the Inner City Improvement Plan. And the reason that we did that is because we wanted to provide extra focus and extra funding and extra attention on matters in the inner city. When I call an area of our city the inner city, you may not be familiar with that term as it's regarded in Henderson. Everybody kind of knows. Actually, a lot of people don't know where the East End is. A lot of people have different geographical boundaries for what they believe the East End is. The inner city encompasses the East End and a lot more area than that. So if you're driving down Green Street, so Green Street is a boundary, Atkinson Street is a boundary, Sand Lane is a boundary, and Washington Street is a boundary. So all the projects that are presented tonight are going to try to have impact on that specific area. So each year in the past we've called them committees, and they function actually more like teams. And so we have 5 teams each year that go over different areas. So for example, this year we have public safety, we have blight and affordable housing, we have economic development, we have neighborhood empowerment, and we have youth enrichment and engagement are the 5 topic areas that we're looking at this year. Every team meets once a month. On average, sometimes a little bit more. There may be a month that's missed in there, but on average about once a month. And they talk about areas that we can improve on in their team's topic within the inner city. They come up with projects, and the idea is at the end of the year, we present those projects to the community. There's a voting process. And later on in this short presentation, we'll talk about how to vote for the projects. It's a little different this year than it has been in the past. We budget a minimum of $300,000 per year to fund the program. And I want to stress that's a minimum because we've actually spent quite a bit more money than that over the first 3 years of the program. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of the projects that we've done. This thing right here says join our team. One thing I want to stress now and one thing we're going to stress later is we really want to bring up the amount of people who are living in the inner city or have a stake in the inner city to join the program next year. Later on, Ms. Jessa Brandon will talk about how to sign up for the program, and then we'll talk about some of the changes that are going on for next year's program. So some of the projects that have been completed, and there's been quite a yeah, there you go. Is that the way? Is that on O'Byrne Street? Look at you! I didn't know that. You should have poked your head out the window. No, actually, you're not living there yet, right? So some of the projects that we completed, I'll talk about quite a few of them. There's still more than what I'm going to talk about, just in the interest of time. One of the first projects that we did was there was a tax moratorium, and it was only applicable to downtown properties. And what that tax moratorium did was it allowed people who bought a building that's 25 years or older, if they would like to do a major refurbishment or a reimagining of that building, their improvements that they did that added to the value of that house, there was no taxes, or business or a building, there was no taxes for a period of 5 years after that. It was an incentive to try to get people to develop. And so one of the first things that was brought to us was, why don't we expand that to the inner city? And we actually did more than that. We expanded it citywide. So that tax moratorium is actually something that is going to encourage development citywide, and it includes the inner city. We've had that in place for 3 years. Also, one of the first projects that we tackled was something called a flock camera system. And I believe, Bob, if you don't mind if I can ask you a question, do you know how many cameras we installed? Was it 7 total, or was it more than that? The flock cameras in the inner city. Okay. Do you know about how many? Thank you. So by far and away, the first year, the public safety group presented on flock cameras. And flock cameras are, they have assisted in a number of different things. They have caught a couple of escaped fugitives, a couple of sets of escaped fugitives, the ones that are on the highway. And they don't, they're not an invasion of privacy in that they do not capture what you're doing in your cars or anything like that. They basically capture information based on the license plates that pass them, and then tell the police department when somebody is in the area that shouldn't be. So if somebody from outside of the inner city were to go into the inner city and commit a crime, these license plate readers make it much more likely that they're going to get caught or apprehended if they're driving a vehicle into and out of the inner city. And that was, honestly, it was a big surprise to me. I thought that there would be like a sort of a Big Brother complex with that particular project, that people wouldn't want it because they would feel like it was an invasion of privacy. But it was voted #1 by the residents of the inner city in that first year. And so we've got that installed in the inner city. We have started a blight elimination program with Habitat for Humanity, and that's a big one. We needed to do something to address blight, and we needed to do something to address affordable housing. And many of the folks who are on the blight and affordable housing group this year were on that group last year, and this was their big project. And I'm happy to report that we have made it official as of July 1st. So the city would budget $50,000 a year to go toward eliminating blight in the inner city primarily. Now, the city for the next 5 years, starting July 1st, this past July 1st, is going to put up $100,000 a year to do the same thing, and Habitat for Humanity is matching that $100,000. So over that period of time, instead of $50,000 times 5 years, which is $250,000, we've got $200,000 times 5 years, which is $1 million that is going to go to eliminate blight, acquire properties, and build back affordable housings through Habitat for Humanity, and honestly through some other contractors as well. And we've started that. Matt and his group, Matt and Brittany and their group from Habitat is actually going to come to our next City Commission meeting on Tuesday to give a report out on how things are going so far on that program. We started the first year, we did some major alleyway improvements. We didn't get through all the alleys, but we got through quite a bit. And they went through and they regraded some rock, they cut back some brush and bush and things like that. We've got another installment of that that should be happening next spring on into the fall. But one thing that we learned through the first year is that the alleys are an important, not that we learned, we kind of already knew this, but we wanted to show that the alleys are an important part of our infrastructure here in Henderson because there's so many, and people rely on those for transportation, a lot of times for trash and recycling pickup, stuff like that. And so those we're going to treat like they're important and not just forgotten pieces of gravel that you use to get to your backyards or wherever you go. We did a sidewalk project on Mill Street. And this is part of what the city should be doing anyway with this general fund money, is sidewalks and roads and bridges and stuff like that. But specifically the one on Mill Street was brought by the Infrastructure Committee because South Heights Elementary, we needed to have a safer route for kids to get to school. And so we moved that up to the front of the list of all of our infrastructure projects because of the presentation of the Infrastructure Committee and built that sidewalk out on Mill Street. We've got doorbell cameras. They came out of the safety committee for the first year. If you are interested, if you live in the inner city and you're interested in having a free installed doorbell camera, our police department has some. About a third of them have gone out to residents in the inner city, and that's something that people are asking for because it helps them feel a little safer at home if they have a little surveillance of their own that they can do. And if you're interested in having a doorbell camera at your house, please do contact the police department. They've got about 20 more that can be distributed in the inner city if you're interested in that. And then starting on Monday at the JFK Center, one of the projects that came out of last year, we've got babysitting certification classes that are going to go on at the JFK Center. There's a sign up. There's a sign up that you can find on the city's Facebook page and other areas if you're interested in that. And there's probably about 5 or 6 more completed projects that I'm not going to talk about because we're going to move through and go to the next one. We'll talk about progress on some other major projects. If you drive down Letcher Street, specifically between Washington and Powell, you've probably noticed a huge difference in the way things look now versus the way things looked before, and that is part of an ongoing project that we call the Letcher Street Business Corridor Project. And so if you've lived in the inner city area for a long time, and you know the history there, it used to be a very vibrant place where people could go and buy jewelry or do this or do that. Lots of business exchange through there, and it had become a place that was just a reminder of what used to be. And so the vision for that is that the city is in the process of acquiring all the properties. We'd like to partner with a private developer and bring back new business fronts on Letcher Street. So that we can encourage the business scene on Letcher Street, and so that's in process. You can actually physically see the work that we've done. The buildings that had to be condemned have been torn down and removed. We're going to save the buildings that we can save and integrate it into that process. That's going to be a long project. It's not going to happen overnight. It's probably going to be a 3 to 5 year project before it's all said and done. But just want to let you know that we're working on that. Anthony Brooks Park, as the park across the street from the JFK Center. It hasn't been touched in a while in terms of new equipment and things like that. There was a group of people who have a lot of respect for Anthony Brooks and his family, who came to a city commission meeting. Bobby Jarrett was part of that. And asked us to take a look at Anthony Brooks Park. The first year's beautification team did look at that. And now we're going to do a major overhaul of that park that finally should happen next year. We've been talking about it for a while. The reason that it hasn't happened yet is we'd like for somebody else other than our local taxpayers to pay for it. And sometimes to receive grant money, it takes a while. And so we were awarded a almost $250,000 National Parks grant, and then the state of Kentucky matched that to give us $500,000. And then we've got some other grant money that we have available. The total rehab should cost about $600,000, and we are in the process. We've been awarded the money. We're still in the process of receiving the money. When we receive the money, then we'll be able to kick that project off, hopefully about next summer. And we're going to add some. We're planning to add a splash pad and some new playground equipment and really dress that place up for the people in the area. We're doing something called a hero house. Currently, we're settling on where this property is going to be. The hero house stands for Henderson Encouraging Resident Officers. It was a project of the first public safety committee or team the first year. This is going to be a house that theoretically we still have to work out the legalities. We're going to provide to a new police officer who is joining the force, or an existing police officer who is with the force for a period of up to 2 years, rent and utility free. And what that does is it does two things. Hopefully, it helps with pipeline for the police department. But the biggest thing it does is it actually places a police officer in the area where he or she would be policing. And we felt like that is a very important thing in terms of being able to get to know the neighbors, get to know the community, really understand the culture of what's going on there. And so that's going to be something you'll hear more about later. The bleachers at the JFK Center are in process, and then there's a couple other things. I'll tell you what, I'm talking a lot, and so I'm gonna just skip the rest of this part and move on to this part. We're going to talk a little bit about some changes with the program. Okay, so when we started the program, we started and we created, and when I say we, I mean the city created 5 categories or topics for teams. And then we also gave each team a starter project just to give them an idea of some things that they could work on. Because of feedback we got that first year, the second year we dropped the starter projects and we added starter suggestions. The third year, which is the year we're in now, we still created the committees, but we had no starter projects, and the committees just had the freedom, the teams had the freedom to pick their own projects, and they always had freedom to add and pick their own projects, but they didn't have any starter ideas. Next year we're doing things differently. So in January, we're going to have an initial orientation and an initial meeting, and hopefully we can hear from a lot of different residents at that meeting, because what we're going to start the program with next year is learning about what the issues are that you believe are important in your area, and we're going to use that information to create the topics for the teams that are going to move through the end of the year. And so if you want to be a part of the program next year and you'd like to serve on one of the teams, that's going to be an important meeting for everybody to come to, because we're going to hear from a lot of people and really drill down on some of the issues that are most important to the people who live in the inner city. And then hopefully we can improve the amount of people that we have from the inner city who participate in the program. And speaking of that, Jessa Brandon, our city clerk, I'd like to invite her up. She's going to talk a little bit about how voting is going to change next year and also how you can sign up for the program. So, Ms. Jessa?
Since we were able to live stream it, we also kind of wanted to make it more available for voting, so it's going to be online. You can use the QR code on your tables. There will be a link on the website that you can use as well to vote. You can vote for 3 projects, or you can put all your votes on one project, or you can take 2 votes on one and 1 on another, however you want to use that. We thought it would be more appropriate to let you decide the weight of your own vote this year. And then beyond that, we're going to keep it open for the entire month of December. So you have plenty of time to ask your questions of the committees and to give your feedback and to really understand the projects that you're voting on before you cast your vote. So you have plenty of time to do that. And you're welcome to contact myself or Jeannie, and our project coordinator, and we'll get you in touch with our committee members and ask your questions for you, make sure that you really understand what you're voting for and what you're getting. And then Jeannie and I also will be the ones taking, if you're interested in joining a committee for next year and you want to give feedback, you don't have to have any kind of experience. We just want you there to tell us what's important to you so that we can address that for you. And that would go through my email, which can be found on the website under the city clerk page. And then I can get you in touch with Jeannie, and we can feed you to the committee members as well so that you can reach out and get involved.
Thank you very much. And voting should be open through the end of December, and sign-ups can happen through about the second week of January. We're going to you can sign up physically tonight if you see Miss Jessa before you leave and give her your information. We're also going to have stuff available periodically throughout the month of December for people to sign up on our Facebook page and website and other means as well, so we can drive up the amount of people who are participating from the inner city, because that's really the most important part of the program is we really want to hear from the folks who live there, interact with you, and try to work on things that are most important to you. And so hopefully those things will help us accomplish that. A couple of things about tonight, and then we'll get things kicked off. On today's agenda, you're going to hear from the 5 different teams from this year. We're going to start with the public safety team here in just a second. As they go along, there will be a time at the end of the meeting. Everybody's going to stick around at their tables. If you have questions about the projects or questions about the program or anything like that, we are all going to different people from the committees. Not everybody may be able to stay that long, but different people from each team is going to hang around and answer your questions at the end of the meeting. So we're going to move through the presentations. We'll go into that part. There are actually visual aids at the table that for some of the projects, like I see a little blue miniature police pole over there, I think is going to be talked about from the Public Safety Committee. But without further ado, thank you again very much for coming tonight. I also wanted to thank everybody who is at one of the team tables. We had probably about 30 more people participate in this year's program who may not have been able to make it tonight. But they put in a lot of work, and I'm really proud of the work that you guys are doing. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce the Public Safety Committee to come up and tell us a little bit more about your projects that you've been working on this year that will be available to vote on online later on after the meeting. Thank you.
He's done broke it before we got started. I'm Christy Randolph of the Public Safety Committee. Stephanie Dossett is our committee chair for Public Safety. We're going to talk about 3 projects, well actually 2, and one of them we're going to introduce the individual that came up with the idea. The first one is on lighting. It's the solar lighting panel, or project, I'm sorry, that Chad is holding. Ray Nix actually had this project, and he's not here tonight, so I'm going to try to do the best I can with the notes and stuff that I had. And this is kind of the display that will go with it. We had some individuals of the inner city that came to us, and they just didn't feel safe. They needed an extra lighting, and the lighting won't go in any specific area of their yard. We wanted to make sure where they felt unsafe with, whether it was going out the back door, the front door, that we could put it there. And you want to show it? Okay. So it's bright. So I always say fear is subjective. What I fear and what you fear is 2 totally different things, but fear is real. And so when individuals came to us and said, I just don't feel safe going out my front door or my back door, we wanted to make sure that we addressed their issues and not ignored it. And we also had a discussion a little bit about how the doorbell cameras could kind of interact with the lighting as well. So the project estimate cost, the goal to this is to provide greater peace of mind for residents who feel additional lighting on their property will provide greater personal safety. And the project cost would be $7,500, and the solar light material would be based on 100 of those at 50 each, which would be $5,000. And the installation for half, 50 at 50 each, would be $2,500. Like I said, it doesn't go in any specific area on the property. Is there a slideshow to show the rest of it, or how it? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Okay. I guess I'm in charge of the clicker too. So there is some of the information there as well. Like I said, that's the cost of it. It's for our residents to feel like that we listened to them, we heard their voice, for them not to be in fear. Because like I said, fear is subjective. What I fear and what you fear is 2 totally different things, but fear is very real. That's kind of the area that it would shine out to. That's kind of what it looks like when it will be up. Did you have any questions on that? I'm sorry. Do what? Okay. The other project we had was food insecurity. And, I want to mention something also on the cameras. It can be wired to dispatch as well, and then it would be determined if 911 is needed. It's solar paneled, and then once the phone is activated, the cameras will turn on as well. I wanted to make sure I didn't forget that. Food insecurity was our second thing. And when we brought that idea to the table, it actually was addressed as far as blessing boxes. And I kind of left that meeting like, well, I can build a blessing box, but what do you really want me to do with it? And our blessing boxes in our area are in high demand, and they've been used greatly this year. So we had our next meeting, and I came back and I said, well, why don't we address food insecurity? Not just a blessing box where we put food in there, and we're not addressing the real need and the issue. Do we have issues of individuals, they just don't make enough money? Do we have to choose between, do we pay utilities, do we pay rent, do we pay food? What do we need to do? So food insecurity has been a great issue here in Henderson that I've talked about the past, 18 months. So we developed a plan. It was actually Haley Black that was with AKZ that she left us to go to Florida. So I can't falter on that. But Erica Mado was part of this as well. So we decided to come back to basics, where we would bring individuals, maybe they need to learn how, do you read the back of a can of how to cook something? What could you cook something with? What you got out of the blessing box, or what you got from if you went to a food bank, or if you just had certain staple items, what could you cook with that? So we decided that we would do a cooking class, Cooking Matters, where we would address the issues on how do you cook it, what food you had left, could you put it in for the next meal, what could you do with it, how do you read, how do you cook this, do you know how to cook? So we wanted to do just the basics. So we will determine, how many people we will have for that. We don't want to make it too big to where we're not addressing the issues of do they know how to cook, because simply put, some people don't. They just don't. They were never taught, they didn't learn or anything like that. So then we would have the individuals there. Once we got done with that class, they would know how much it costs to cook this meal, what they need for that, what they have in their pantry, and then we would develop one with however many weeks that we're going to do that. Whether we choose 8 weeks, 16 weeks, and we would develop a cookbook that they would leave with. We would have a binder for them, but we'd also develop a cookbook that's like the grandma cookbook that you got when you were younger and you would see. That way you would know going forward, once you left that night with that meal, we'll sit down to eat. But once you left, you would have that ingredients, what you need to cook that going forward. We also thought, well, what could we do with that as well? Not only would you have a cookbook, and we're going into the second year with that, because the mayor offered to, was it soup? Vegetable soup. So we would have individuals there teaching individuals how to cook. But once we went into the second year and we advanced, the individuals that were there the first year would be there to help go into the second year. But once we did that, we also had the option, do we want to give them something like a cooking tool? Do we want to give them an Instapot or something like that? So we would have different varieties. There was also a place we decided that we could use would be like the Salvation Army. But also, we needed to probably think about what we would do long term. Did we need a little facility for us as well that could store our food for a food pantry as we're going forward? Food insecurity in Henderson is about 13.7% right now and growing. Haley did a survey. 37% of individuals say having to choose between access to enough food for their family or paying rent or utilities at least once. And we want them to make sure that, they leave there with confidence that they can do this, that it's something that they can learn from. So you would engage in cooking a budget-friendly meal, having dinner with others, and testing their ideas and creations. And then you would leave with what we cooked with that night, and ingredients, and what it serves, recipes, instructions, and all of that. And then once we were doing the cookbook, we thought, well, we could give it free for the East End residents. And then as we branched out, that, maybe we could sell it to recoup some of the meals that we cooked. That way we could grow into the second year. And that was one of the websites that we were looking at for recipes. And then, did you want to introduce the individual on the talkaphone, or? Okay. So you have the blue light. We have a blue light also. So we had an individual that came up with this idea. And it would go in the area of AKZ around the Salvation Army was one of the areas. This is the crime map in the East End. Stephanie, you might have to answer this. Okay. And then we got our statistics on crime. On the average, crime-related costs would cost $9.92 per household for the year 2025. The blue light is supposed to deter crime when it lights up, and 3 poles would be $20,000 each. Is that correct? And then crime-related costs include insurance, medical, court cost, hours worked. The blue light is supposed to, if it goes off and it lights up, that it would flag 911 as well and deter crime. I'm sorry that don't light up. Chad's upset that one don't light up. And I guess that's all.
Before we move on to the next group, I wanted to. Sorry, let me look at my paper real quick. I wanted to bring somebody in the audience up real quick and introduce him to you. Is Bryson Gish out here in the audience? Do you mind to come up here real quick? I'm not going to embarrass you, and you don't have to talk. I just want to tell him about what happened earlier on this year. So what school do you go to again, Bryson?
South.
So you go to South now. Where were you at when you came earlier this year? A.B. Chandler. Okay. So each year we do a class. It's called Mock City Government. And we do it for all the area fifth graders. And we walk them through what a commission meeting is going to look like. We let them elect their own mayor and commission and all these things, and teach them about how city government works. And at the end of that, we ask their opinions on what we want, what they might want to see in our parks and other things that they can give us feedback about. And usually when you ask people about what you want to see in the parks at fifth grade, they're talking about zip lines or new slides or this or that. Bryson said he wanted to see police safety poles in the park. And me being I'll reveal my age, I'm 47 years old. So me being a 47-year-old man, and the way that I thought about it was I was thinking, are they necessary, because doesn't everybody have cell phones? But if you think about 4th, 5th, 6th graders in particular, a lot of times families are comfortable with them walking a block or two to go to a park, but they may not have a cell phone. And so if somebody breaks their arm or breaks their leg, or if there's a suspicious person in the area, they wouldn't have any way to contact anybody without these police poles, right? And so I wanted to thank Bryson very much. And do you mind if we take a picture real quick? Where's those police poles at? Here, we'll each hold one of these police poles. That'd be great. All right. If you want to hold one of these, and I'll hold one of these, and we're going to take a quick. Where's there she is. Here she comes. Thank you, sir. We appreciate it very much. Just so that was such an insightful thing that he brought, and we really are appreciative of getting to this point, and then hopefully this will be one of the projects that move forward and we actually install them in the park. So thank you, Bryson, very much. And if you would please give the Public Safety Committee a round of applause. All right. Next up, we have Michelle Chappelle and her group, the Blight and Affordable Housing Committee. Ms. Michelle, Dr. Chappelle.
Thank you. I'm Dr. Michelle Chappelle. I am the chair of Blight and Affordable Housing. So we decided, first I'd like to acknowledge my committee. So if my committee, can you please stand? Thank you. He's got it. So as a committee, we collected a whole bunch of ideas, and I put it in a form, and we voted on it. And so one of the things that came was creating some training. So the goal of this project is create a program is to assist individuals in transition from renters to first-time homeowners and creating a stronger, stable inner city. The goal is to include 10 participants for the new renters homeowner education class. It is designed to empower with families with the knowledge and skills necessary to inform responsible, confident decisions when securing and maintaining housing. The training supports both renters and new owners by providing guidance on essential topics such as budgeting for housing costs, understand leases, mortgage agreement, and property upkeep, tenants, homeowners' rights, and responsibility. So we divided the training up into modules. So training 1 is building financial foundation. Training 2 is rentals' rights and responsibility. 3 is transition to home ownership. 4 is maintaining and sustaining a home. 5 is long-term stability. Now these classes will be conducted over two days to accommodate the 10 participants, either day, evening. They're also going to be online during Zoom and face-to-face. So the Zooms will be recorded as well. So let's talk about Module 1, Building Finance Foundation. Underneath that topic, it talks about financial literacy, stability for housing, and success. So we didn't want to really recreate the wheel, so we tried to include some of the resources that Henderson already have. So if you look at Understand Your Credit Score and How to Improve Housing, we talked about using the Fifth 3 credit bus. They already have the resources and materials used. So we were trying to limit the cost on the project. Budgeting for rent, mortgage, utilities, and unexpected expenses. Debit management strategies. Saving plans for security deposits or down payment on houses. And then also what I just said is looking at local resources. We also looked at the GAIN program. Since it is a long process, we just want to provide materials for them to how to sign up for the GAIN program. Topic 2 talks about renters' rights and responsibility, navigating rental housing confidentially. So underneath those, you'll look at these topics that we're going to be talking about. A couple of them: resolving disputes, tenants' rights and responsibility under local and state laws, communicating effectively with landlords, renters insurance, and what is covered, why it matters, and maintenance issue. The third one is transition to ownership. And I think this is really important because people don't want to be renters all their life. They want to own their own home. So the difference between renting and owning, steps to becoming a first-time home buyer, understand the mortgage terms and pre-approval process, working with realtors and lenders, and homeowners insurance and coverage that's needed. Module 4, maintaining and staying in home. Underneath these topics we're talking about property management and community impact. As you see, we have several areas underneath that topic. Basic home maintenance in Texas and schedule. Underneath there, they'll talk about furnace, how to change their furnace filter, batteries in their smoke detectors as well. Code enforcement, we talk about maintenance and reduce neighborhood blight, mowing your yard. That is really important when you rent your home or own your home because you don't want to get a code. And picking up the trash. Inner city, as you walk around, you do see a lot of trash in people's yards and streets. So that's important. That's helped with Black and affordable housing. Let me go back to energy efficient, cost saving, winterizing your home. I think that's really important, especially in the winter months. Winter did come a little early this year, right? So planning for the future for home improvements, and also keeping your home ready for just in case you want to resell it. And lastly, Module 5, long-term stability engagement. Not only you want to get your home, but you also want to stay in it. So there is city and nonprofit housing support resources, giving them a list, letting them know about 211, and also the kiosks that we have around. I think they're called the Family Scholar kiosks. There's 4 or 5 in the city, about 4. One of the locations is the Housing Authority, Harrison Community College, the library, and the city building. So a lot of people don't know where they're located. So giving those resources, and it's also in several different languages as well. Legal and financial assistance programs, strategies for staying in houses, doing economic hardship, engaging in community involvement efforts, and neighborhood involvement and community pride. So once they completed all 5 of these classes, the 10 participants are able to apply for a $1,000 incentive, which will be given directly to their landlord or the financial institution where they got their loan at. So we don't give the participant the money. We give it to either the landlord and the financial institution. We just want to make sure we clarify that they do not get it in their hand. Also, they have at least 6 months after they awarded this initiative program. They have at least 6 months. If they don't do it in 6 months, then the money goes back into the program for the next participant. Thank you from the Blight and Affordable Housing Committee. Please scan the QR code that is on our table, and we can go in more details about this if you would like. You can stop by our table.
A really good job. It's a very thorough project. You know, and home ownership is something that's very important. There are areas in the inner city, certain blocks that are like 70% rental. And so anything that we can do to set us on a path toward more home ownership, it not only empowers our individual citizens, but it helps instill community pride because people take more pride if they actually own the home. Good project. I like that. Next up, please help me welcome the Economic Development Team.
Good evening. So when we thought of how can we, impact the inner city with the economic development team, we thought of a lot of different things, and we were very fortunate to have a really good team to come up with a lot of ideas. The backgrounds from all the different folks at our table really, really helped to kind of come up with the right idea. In the years past, we focused a whole lot of time and energy on trying to drive new businesses into the inner city, and we found that we'd get kind of caught up in the weeds a little bit on how we would figure out what business we wanted to bring. So this year our focus was a little bit different. Our thought was, how can we make the inner city an area that becomes a destination? That if you were bringing a new business to town, that the inner city would be something on your map as far as a place that you wanted to bring it. And how could we do that? So we started to think to ourselves, last year we had a great package to help new businesses, but we didn't really have anything to help the existing businesses. So we thought to ourselves, if you were an existing business owner, you probably thought, what about us? We're one of the oldest businesses in Henderson, and sometimes I think we can forget that. So what we're going to do, or what we're proposing, would be a $50,000 incentive package for existing and new businesses, and it breaks it down a little bit different to where we're proposing a $30,000 for the new and existing businesses, and then the $20,000 would be to help with facade upgrades, because we realize that some of the oldest businesses in Henderson are in the inner city. So we believe the facade upgrades can really, really help us, and to kind of make that area a destination. So when we get folks like the Riverboats come to town, or folks come from out of town, that they come down there. The second part of our project is to kind of help drive that. So what we would like your advice this evening is to come up with, we've got a couple of maps on our table, and we would like you to show us where you want us to start with this next part. So the next part is, how can we improve these business districts? And it can be anything. What we don't want to happen is the folks at our table to come up with what that looks like. So tonight you're going to pick those areas. Based on where we find that focus area is going to be to start with, we're then going to meet with those businesses that are in that area, those neighbors that are in that area, and we're going to walk it just like we would any business. If you were in a struggling business, you wouldn't just come up with the ideas, come into the business and tell them how it's done. You would get with the folks that are there, you would find out what are the opportunities, what would you like to see, and then we're going to bring that to life. We're proposing that to be a $10,000 amount, and you may think to yourself, $10,000 is not going to do a lot. But our hope is that we can partner with churches and some of the other local organizations here in town to really drive that through volunteer work, so that money can really be stretched into a lot bigger way, trying to avoid just hiring contractors to take that. So we're really excited. What we'd like, though, is for your participation. Stop by our table. We'd really like to hear your input. We'd love to hear. So when I say those target areas, you can think of a specific couple of blocks that maybe already exist with a business district, or you may think of a gateway into the inner city. We believe both of those are going to be very impactful, but we really want to hear that from you. And I'd like to thank the team again for a great year. Again, we met once a month all the way until today, and we're really excited to try to help. And we want to hear it from you as far as what we can do to do better. So thank you so much. I appreciate everyone's time.
And to let you know, the $50,000 economic incentive package is actually one of those that is being fast-tracked. Adam Blythe, who just presented, and myself and the folks at Economic Development and Scott Davis have been meeting through this last half of the year to talk about the bones of what that's going to look like. And so you can actually expect within the next month to have that project come to the City Commission for consideration and a little bit more detail on that. All right, please help me welcome up the Neighborhood Empowerment Group.
Okay, everybody, I would like to start with a question. Have you ever felt like other people are making decisions about our neighborhood without really consulting with us? How many people want the East End to be a place where your kids and grandkids can be proud to live? I know I certainly do. Tonight, I want to share 2 projects that can help make that happen. So both of these projects we're talking about are about one big idea: giving neighbors more power, more voice, and more joy right here in the East End. The first project is a community fun day, and I'm going to welcome Reverend Johnson to come speak on that. And Miss Lily Pruitt, yes.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, and congratulations to all the committees or teams this evening. And we've enjoyed listening to all the projects. Miss Lily and I, we had a great time working on our committee, and we want to thank our committee for. We had great discussion, great sessions and dialogue, and we had many ideas. But these were the 2 projects that we come up with when we talk about our community fun day events. Our goal is to build neighborhood pride. Oftentimes, when we go throughout the East End, we hear people say, "There's nothing for the kids to do. There's nothing for the kids to do," and there's a lot for the kids to do within our East End, with the AKZ, with the CATS program, with the JFK. With some of the various churches throughout the area, but oftentimes you hear that. So we thought about things that could really incorporate all of these entities and target some fun days over the course of the next year. We talked about building our neighborhood pride, creating a safe and fun place for our kids and adults, show the resources and organizations that are here to support. We thought about various things that we could invite to our community, and we talked about various speakers for our fun day. One of the speakers that we recommended was Mr. Courtney Johnson. If you paid attention to our local news that takes place, Mr. Johnson and his young and established in Evansville, doing a tremendous job working with a lot of the inner city youth over there in his area. Mr. Courtney Johnson was one of our speakers that we would like to target to bring to our area to talk with our young folk in the East End. Also, we contacted the athletic department at UK about our basketball players, and things are different now with NIL. So you don't go through the athletic department, you got to go through their agents now. We didn't know that. We're in the wrong business, aren't we? So we learned a lot with that. So we talked about our UK basketball players, and then we talked about Miss Jackie Joyner Kersey. Now, most of our young people we know are not going to know who Miss Jackie Joyner Kersey is. But if you know athletics, Miss Jackie Joyner Kersey is one of the greatest Olympians that certainly lived and participated in the Olympics. She is doing a tremendous job with her program right on over, not too far from us, in the East End of St. Louis. And we reached out to her team about getting her potentially to our area and inviting the community, not just the East End, but all the citizens of Henderson, to be able to see somebody, talk with them, and talk about the great work that she's doing through her organization. So that's one of the community events that we talked about doing for our East End. We don't have a designated area. We talked about the JFK because of the accessibility and the location, and it's so centrally located. It's a fixture. In our East End, potentially also over near the AKZ area with the park there. So a lot of great ideas with that. And so if you have any questions with that, we please ask you to stop off at our table. So now we'll give it back to our chairperson, Ms. Bobby Jo Martin. She has done a tremendous job, her and Jane.
Thank you. You're so good at this. You weren't even reading. You're so natural. How do you get so good? The thing that stands out about that project is it shows our kids that this is a place that's worth investing in. That's what both of our projects mean to me. So our second project is Neighborhood Action Projects. Have you ever walked down a street and thought, I wish we could fix that, or I wish there was more for kids to do? We hear it all the time. So that's what Neighborhood Action Projects are all about. It's a real simple idea. We believe the people who live in the East End know what's best for the East End. Instead of bringing outside programs that may not fit, we invest directly in neighbors so they can bring their ideas to life. And here's how it works. A neighbor has an idea to make life better in the East End. It might be planting trees, fixing up a playground or a rundown spot, starting a youth activity or a fitness class, and creating a safe place to gather, or hosting a fun or educational event that brings people together. They apply for a grant, a small amount of money, to help make it happen. Each idea is reviewed by an action project committee, which is a team of neighbors and community partners, to make sure the project is fair, doable, and good for the neighborhood. They ask questions like, what are you hoping to change or improve? Who will be involved or benefit from the project? And what steps will you take to make it happen? And then finally, how will you follow through and care for the project over time? Neighbors who are chosen to get the funding then go out and make the project happen. Audubon Kids Zone helps guide the process all along the way. So we organize the Action Project Committee that reviews the ideas. We take before and after photos, keep track of spending, and give updates to the city and the neighborhood the whole way. We walk with neighbors, support them, and then celebrate what they've done. And we know this works because we've done it. In 2023, we invested $10,000 into East End neighbors. Because of that, neighbors were able to fix broken windows, buy bench seating for Audubon apartments, get supplies so teens could sew swing cushions for neighbors, paint a mural, and then host a very popular community bingo night. We also cleaned up some alleyways. So why is this important? When neighbors get to lead the change, something powerful happens. People feel more ownership and pride in their neighborhood. They are more likely to care for the spaces around them, and new local leaders step up. The projects don't just fix problems, they create a new mindset. We can do this here. This, my friends, is how long-term change happens. Can I grab a water? Thank you. That's the first time I've said that without crying. But really, this is how long-term change happens. Our neighborhood is full of talent, heart, and skill. What we don't always have are access to tools and money. Neighborhood action projects help close that gap. By investing directly in residents, we listen to the people who live here and trust the folks who know the neighborhood best. We help turn East Enders' good ideas into real results. We give neighbors a real say in what happens. And this is not charity. This is a partnership. This is neighbors leading the way in their own community. Tonight, we're asking you to support neighborhood empowerment projects. Your vote means direct investments in neighbors and their ideas. These quick win projects make blocks better now. Like the mayor was saying, some of these take a long time. Some of these projects are years and years in the making. These are quick wins. We can see results quickly. It means more pride, more action, and hope, which leads to neighbors that grow stronger from the inside out. Neighborhoods that grow stronger from the inside out. And we've already seen it happen. We've seen what our neighbors can do. We know what's possible when people are trusted and supported, and we're ready to keep going. We're asking you to stand with us. While you vote, or will you vote for these neighborhood empowerment projects today? And if there are questions getting in the way of you voting for our neighborhood action projects or our community fund day, please stop by our table. If you can't hang around, that is my contact information, my cell phone. Please don't hesitate to call and come see us. Thank you.
Really good job. Very good job. Oh, thank you. Put the clicker back. Before I introduce the last group, just two things I thought of as Miss Bobby Joe was talking. And Bobby Joe is with Audubon Kids Zone. We have a number of people who are either on the board or work directly for Audubon Kids Zone who are part of this process. So part of the inner city improvement plan, and one of the most important parts, is that we try to place residents of the inner city with community experts, nonprofits, and city officials, so that we can transform the ideas into action. Because some people may have ideas about how to do something, and other people may have experience doing something. And when we try to match that up, then great things can happen. And one of the organizations that, amongst the many that are in here and represented, is Audubon Kids Zone. We couldn't do the program without your all's involvement. And honestly, Bobby, when you get up here and speak, I can hear the excitement in your voice and the commitment to the people in the inner city and in the East End. And so thank you all very much. A wonderful job on your projects. And last but certainly not least, we have the Youth Engagement and Enrichment Committee.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Before I get started, I needed to do 2 quick plugs. One, the mayor already told you about the QR code, right? It's not just about voting. It's also about getting involved and joining the team. This is my 2nd year doing this, and I wouldn't have signed up for a second one if we didn't see real action coming out of these projects. And so that goes for every team here. There's some great work going on all across the city. And one of the things, my second plug of the night, is not just scan the QR code, but one of the projects coming from the Youth Engagement and Enrichment Committee from last year is actually happening this Monday at the JFK Center. We're going to be training 12 to 18-year-olds, boys and girls, doesn't matter, but we've got 11 spots left in the sitting training program. It's going to be, they're going to receive a Red Cross certification. It's only thanks, though, to the committee and a joint partnership between the YMCA and the City Parks and Rec Department. We're working together to train youth at the JFK Center. So we've got 11 more spots. If you know anybody 12 to 18, it is completely free, and they will walk out with a certification. So just wanted to see, and that's the reason I'm involved, because it's not just ideas, it's ideas in action. So let's just move on. So what's our project about this year? Well, it's about workplace volunteerism and mentorship. We've got several goals in mind. We want to focus on youth mentorship. We want to leverage existing programs. Our idea for this year is not to create a new program. It's to help the programs that are already out there and make them better and give them sustainable efforts to help them move forward. We want to focus on Big Brothers, Big Sisters. We want to provide support to AKZ. We want to also support our Boys and Girls Club, the JFK Center, programs through the port, and through CATS. And we think that we can truly do that if we not only offer mentoring programs that are offered through the local businesses, but we're going to start off with our own local city government by stepping up. And Officer Daniel here is going to tell you a little more about that. Why did we pick this as our project? Let's look at the stats. Youth that are involved in a mentorship program are 92% more likely to volunteer as an adult. That's amazing. Youth that are in a mentorship program are 75% more likely to hold leadership positions in a club or sport once they reach the middle school or high school level. They're 88% of the youth with formal mentorship pursue higher education. That's powerful. It's not just about Big Brothers, Big Sisters. It's not just about AKZ. It's about what we're all trying to do to help the youth in and around Henderson, and especially right here in the East End. Youth in a mentorship program are 68% more likely to become a mentor as an adult. That's truly remarkable. And these statistics are coming from the National Mentoring Partnership and the Big Brothers Big Sisters site-based outcome surveys that they didn't just do locally. This is all across the state of Kentucky. Last but not least, youth involved in a mentorship program are 96% of those youth with a mentor had no disciplinary action or bullying reports through their schools. That's amazing. So that's why we picked this project. We wouldn't want to recreate the wheel. We wanted to support the wheels that are already out there. And so now I'm going to turn it over to Officer Daniel to tell you how we're going to do it.
So our whole project here is trying to make it more efficient for what already exists, as he said. And so the city already has a plan in place and a process for city employees to volunteer their time at community projects and community organizations. What we're trying to do is make it more efficient. And so we are building a model, and it's going to start with Big Brothers, Big Sisters. It's something I'm involved in, and there's actually quite a few people in this room that are also bigs. So we're going to start with them and design a system in which any organization ultimately can apply to the city. It would go through a process, and it would allow a city employee, instead of every time they want to go do a volunteer, it would blanket them for the whole year. So if they wanted to go eat lunch with their little, it's already been approved. They just work it out with their direct supervisor. It's just going to streamline it and cut out some of the red tape. But the whole point of the program is to build it as a model. So we will then expand that from not just only Big Brothers Big Sisters, but all of our community partners, Audubon Kids Zone, the JFK Center, etc. And then once we have this off the ground, other businesses can look at our model and say that they can adopt that for their own business. And this gets every employer in our community to be able to give back to their community. And that's the whole point of this program, is for us to actually lead the way. Everybody in this room is a leader of some sort, because we're all leaders. So we need to step up and actually show that. And that is the gist of the entire program. I will say, right now, Big Brothers Big Sisters, we have several youth at Audubon Kids Zone that are looking for bigs. So if you're in this room right now and you're not a big, you need to look at yourself and ask why not. You can put the time in and come eat with these kids and put a little bit of time in and show, actually put your actions where they need to be.
All right, that is it. If you have any questions about our program, please come visit us here shortly. Thank you.
Thank you guys very much. And I just wanted to say thank you again for all the people who have been a part of this year's program and programs in the past. We hope that the people who came tonight physically or the people who are watching at home. And if you have an interest in joining the program next year, stay tuned and we will get you some information on how to do that. And we would love for you to be a part of year 4 of the Inner City Improvement Plan. So before we dismiss and people go to the tables, if you have any questions, we have to dispense with some formalities. I'm going to ask the city commissioners who are present. I need a motion to adjourn, please. Do we have a second? All in favor, aye? Aye. We are adjourned, and please take the time to stop by the tables and visit with them and ask them any questions that you